He buries it back in the end zone, and so Charles Thompson, the freshman, will come to work. And I said, Charles, will you be nervous when the game begins?
I think I'll be a little nervous just because that happens before every game, and whether or not if I was quarterback or Jamel was quarterback, and he'd still be nervous, and I'm going to be some nervous. But after that first initial snap, I think everything will be all right.
The first initial snap, and those of you who follow college football know that the base attack for Oklahoma is the wishbone. The fullback steps up close behind the quarterback, and the two halves are split. The crowd will be a factor, and Thompson elects not to step in and take him on initially.
And I think that's a mistake for a young quarterback in the first play in a hostile place is to step away from the line of scrimmage. Get the ball snapped on the first play. I guarantee you they'll be just as loud this snap.
Official conferring with Coach Osborne. Maybe louder. On that reverse pivot and a pitch to Collins, and it was behind him, and Collins made a nice grab. Charles Pryor and Jeff Jamrog take him out of bounds. Now the running backs who you just saw, Anthony Stafford was leading Collins on that carrier. Stafford, the junior from St. Louis. The fullback, the big man, the junior from Dickinson, Texas. He's 6'1". Carl Cavanis averaging 23 yards a catch. So second and long for the freshman quarterback from Lawton, Oklahoma. He is 5'9", weighs less than 170 pounds. He rides Rodney Anderson, gives him the ball, and the fullback, who has been troubled by fumbles, goes into the arms of Leroy Etienne, the strong side linebacker for the Cornhuskers. The offensive line is really a great one. Latham is 265. Now the two guards both weigh 280 pounds. John Phillips, the tackle, is 275. Greg Johnson is 300. Keith Jackson is 6'3", 245. Each member of that offensive line stands at least 6'3". He's a great runner. Gets the initial first down of this game.
Very important for the Nebraska defense here to make sure while they're adjusting to Oklahoma's speed, because you can't simulate it in practice, to not let them blow by them and get a couple of quick touchdowns. That's the most difficult thing to do when you're preparing for Oklahoma, is simulate their speed in practice.
And Pat, so far, the young quarterback has handled bringing the wishbone in both directions. He has kept it on one play. He's pitched on one, and he's used his fullback. He's gone to the variety. Now they send Collins in motion. There was movement in the middle, but he seemed to be all right, and this time they run the draw play. Now here's the defense that Pat mentioned. Pete is 270 pounds. The tackles, and they are great ones. Smith 6'5", 260. Rother, an overachiever. Outside, Thomas and Jamrog. Thomas with great speed, and there are the linebackers inside.
Number 38.
Pitch, and this time it's Stafford. He gets to the corner and is forced out of bounds by Brian Washington, number 5. The rest of that defense for Nebraska, and these men were in pursuit. Hicks and Fryer are the corners. Washington and Blazak are the safeties.
You know, Brent, the last couple of weeks with all the injuries to Oklahoma, the opposition has really said to Oklahoma, we're gonna force you to beat us with a fullback. It's been very difficult for them to get to the perimeter of the defense, but today, that's very much what they want to do.
What a great moment for Earl Bruce. Thompson riding Anderson beautifully, showing some patience, but Tim Rother, 78, was equal to it defensively for Osborne.
Bottom of the screen, that the Nebraska defensive front, we talked about their speed early on. This is the biggest difference in this Nebraska defense this year. They fight off blocks and they get down the line of scrimmage. 78, Tim Rother came way from the other side of the field to make the play.
Now, the one offensive weapon Oklahoma must get into this game early is tight end Keith Jackson. That's not my opinion. That's Barry Switzer's. They bring Collins. They lined him up in that wing position. This is going to be a 3rd and long for Thompson, who is a good thrower. And his first pass may be very critical to the success of the Sooners here.
Interesting first series by Oklahoma. Clearly they feel they cannot just run just the triple option against this very fine Nebraska defense. We've seen some draws and we've seen some off tackles and misdirection.
Jackson splits far to the top of your screen. Avanes is at the bottom. Thompson looking for Jackson. Covered. The first down. Fumble out of bounds. Oklahoma's ball. He has the first down.
The guy has incredible quickness. Charles Thompson is all athlete. He gets to the corner of the defense. He picks up a nice block. Anderson blocked Jamrog there. And then he just darts behind an offensive lineman. He's awfully small, and I think sometimes defensive backs can't see him. But that's been the problem, putting the ball on the turf. He had 2 fumbles a week ago. And
Washington bit the fake and went high in the air thinking he could deflect the pass. And Thompson made him pay. A 17-yard gain by the Oklahoma quarterback. And they have moved inside the 35-yard line.
Two key 3rd down plays that Charles Thompson has converted on his own athletic ability.
Anderson to the 30-yard line.
Anderson, number 28.
And that's where the wishbone starts. It all starts with a quarterback and fullback exchange. If you cannot shut down the fullback running right through the heart of that defense, you'll see a lot of that all afternoon. But if they run him successfully, then they get to the perimeter of the defense, and that's where all the big plays are in college football, on the perimeter.
Thompson keeps it. The punishment he takes now will add up by the time we reach the 4th quarter.
Watch the nose tackle here. This hits the man right here, Lawrence Pete, number 6. And up top, Rother's up here, and Neil Smith. All 3 of the guys come inside. They're going to put a pounding on Charles Thompson. And this is the question, whether, as you just mentioned, Brent, whether he'll be able to sustain it for 4 quarters.
Another 3rd down for the freshman quarterback. Under pressure. Was that a face mask? It's complete. He was grabbed up around the helmet. Stafford, the receiver, and I don't think there was any question with 2 penalty markers down at the 50, but that was a face mask infraction. And how the Nebraska fans must remember that critical face mask penalty of a year ago when Jamel Holloway's face mask was raked by a defensive player's hand, and it kept alive the Sooners' drive.
Well, that's a big play, because either way they had him. They were either going to sack him, or when they tackled Stafford, he was actually short of the first down. Oklahoma will get another chance. I'll tell you what, Brent, you have to be impressed with Charles Thompson's composure thus far. I talked to some of his offensive linemen this week, and they weren't worried about it. Even though he's a freshman, they're very confident of his ability and his ability to run this team.
Quarterback. The penalty is tacked on after the pass is complete. It'll be first down.
So the penalty is tacked on to the completed pass from Thompson to Stafford, and that gives Oklahoma a first down at the Cornhuskers' 13-yard line. To play in the opening quarter. From behind the lineman. Collins cuts back. Running under control. Gets inside the 10 against Osborne's defense.
The option play is the most difficult play to defend inside the 10-yard line. Here's where Oklahoma can really give you some problems. This play is actually an unbalanced line. It's a power play off the left tackle. They lined up Greg Johnson and Keith Jackson side by side. It's about 550 pounds of meat and cleared the way for Patrick Collins.
Etienne in on another stop, number 47, junior. Straight ahead, and the Cornhuskers say they got the fumble. Back plays. This time a recovered fumble.
And Brett, the fullback gets the ball so quickly. Oftentimes he's going to fumble it because he gets hit so quickly right when the ball is being put into his stomach. That's Oklahoma's 51st fumble of the year, the 20th they've lost.
Now it is Steve Taylor's turn. That's their base play. They pitch to the I-back here. And that was Keith Jones, number 6. Now we're going to meet. Steve Taylor played high school at San Diego, broke all of Marcus Allen's offensive records at that school. Jones was just the ball carrier. The wingback, very dangerous. The fullback, durable. And Rod Smith, excellent outside receiver. With the run or the pass. Almost got free. Darrell Reed was holding on. And Richard Dillon came up.
Another look at the fumble. Mike Murray, number 74 from the right side, is going to come into the screen. He is one of 7 walk-on starters for Nebraska. He made the play and caused the fumble. Interesting guy. Great walk-on program here at Nebraska.
Taylor facing his first third down. Brinson in motion. Incomplete with his first pass. And the Sooner defense pressuring Taylor that time. 3 downs and out for Nebraska's first series. Jeff Croker, 46, will punt it. That's Derek White and Patrick Collins. He could use another 50-yarder in this spot, too. He drives the return man back. And White is out of bounds here at the near sideline, but they kept him on the other side of the 50-yard line with a 55-yard punt and a 10-yard return.
The advance.
7:41 to go in the first quarter. Number 1 Nebraska, number 2 Oklahoma scoreless. Oklahoma threatened but fumbled away an opportunity. They run the draw with Collins on first down. What a game Etienne is playing.
I'll tell you, Patrick Collins has had a sensational year, the best all-around back for Oklahoma. He does a nice job of blocking as well. Anytime you see Oklahoma come up with a big play, it's one of the backs, the off-back, making a terrific block.
Damon Stell checks in. He'll be in the Oklahoma wishbone. sent him in motion from the fullback spot. They used Collins, and they stretched out the defense. So again, Oklahoma in its second series, and Keith Jackson has not been involved. And I had an opportunity to ask him about the plan for today's game.
I think it's going to be mandatory for me to get involved in the game early in the game and not like a comeback situation. I think our coaches know that. We're looking for our whole team to go out there and do their individual thing, but I do believe that Keith Jackson has to come to play early in the game.
And he alone has been the Sooner most responsible for the last 2 victories over the Cornhuskers. They ride the fullback. Anderson back in, trying to get the first down. Steve Forsch, the other inside linebacker, taking him on. Let's go downstairs to John Dockery. John. So they unpile and spot the ball, and the officials will have to call a timeout. Anderson close to the first down.
One of the key things to watch is Nebraska's free safety, Mark Blazek. The free safety, when you play a wishbone offense, is the man that's unaccounted for, and the man has to make most of the tackles.
3 downs and out that time for Thompson and the Sooners. Todd Thompson's first punt. Dana Brinson, number 33, the wingback. And when you see the wingback return punts, you think immediately of the great Johnny Rodgers and that 72-yard classic back in 1971. Brinson at the 10. A dangerous reception, and a penalty flag is down at the 11-yard line. He passed up the fair catch in that situation, stunned the defender, and got 6 yards on the return, but there is a penalty.
Yeah, the defender didn't give him enough room to catch the punt. Like Nebraska, Brent, has always had a very good punt returner. You mentioned Johnny Rodgers. Well, Brinson has actually returned a punt for a touchdown this year, as has Rod Smith. Scouting report that Oklahoma had him called him deadly on punt returns. They were very concerned about Brinson.
You will see him run from that wingback spot. They'll throw to him.
In the 2-yard zone, he climbs. First down.
And you need 2 yards to catch the ball.
He was trying to give him the distance there at the end, but overzealous and got a little too close. You come back, Nebraska's second possession. They'll have the ball on their own 16-yard line. For Oklahoma, Nebraska, along with John Dockery and Pat Hayden, I'm Brent Musburger. Nebraska started on its own 8 and now on its own 16. We're scoreless, 6:26 to go in the first quarter. By power I set, they bring Jones straight ahead. Let's get an update from John Dockery, see if his mic is working now. John?
I hope it is, Brent. I think we've already seen a significant factor down here. The wind, with the wind, the punt 56 yards, 35 against. And Brent, it's blowing from right to left, and it's a tricky wind because it's gusting, it's changing direction. I think it will have some effect on the passing game and the kicking game. Now back to you.
John, Chris Drennan, the field goal kicker for Nebraska, knew the wind was going to come out of the south on Wednesday afternoon. He practiced an extra 45 minutes knocking it into that end. Now the wind is blowing. It is with Nebraska this time, so Taylor has it as he flips out to the side now, and that is Bell. Richard Bell, the sophomore from Altadena, California, with an 11-yard gain. Now let's meet that Nebraska offensive line. Very talented and large. 250 pounds at center. The guards go 265 Keeler and 270 McCormick. The tackles, Bob Sledge, 6'2", 270. Kevin Leitner, 6'2", 285. The tight end, folks, has caught 8 passes, 6 of them for touchdown.
Bob Sledge, what a great name for a tackle.
Here's Brinson. They stretch him out. Excellent defense. And that player who rode him out, Ricky Dixon, folks, remember that name. We say a lot of things, and justifiably so, about number 88, Keith Jackson. But when they start divvying up the talent for the professionals, Ricky Dixon of Oklahoma is apt to be the first one picked. He's 5'10", 187, a senior out of Dallas, Texas. There's not a better safety man in the country. See if Taylor wants to test his arm. He runs the quarterback draw. A superb call.
Can beat you with his arm or his feet. A terrific call on 2nd and 12 when you're backed up. You're afraid perhaps of turning the ball over. He picks up a nice block from his fullback, Micah Heibel, number 48 there, and did a nice job of reading the block to pick up the first down. Very good vision by the quarterback running downfield. Now, Tom Osborne is a very conservative coach, except on game day. And everything is in, and they're about in that wide open zone. They run the I-back, Jones, straight ahead. They get it out to midfield, and Dixon makes the stop for the Sooners. You just saw the difference in Keith Jones this year from a year ago. Well, we just talked about the defense. Ricky Dixon again coming up in support. Excellent defensive front. Watch right there, number 80, Troy Johnson throws the tight end away to make the play, give him some help. And there's Dixon up and supporting in the hole. That's what a free safety needs to do. But they did the job. The tight end got that man on the outside. He took him in that direction. And that allowed the I-back to come through. Now they show still a different set. Taylor on the option. He can cut back like Don McPherson, the quarterback at Syracuse. He reminds me so much of McPherson. The two play the game a lot alike. There is somewhat a difference in their running style. Taylor here will cut back a little bit more than McPherson, who has that great breakaway speed and will take you to the outside with his option. Taylor is only a junior. 6 foot, 195.
Third down. And 2.
The I-back. Jones for the first down into Oklahoma territory before Derek White wraps him up.
This was what I was beginning to say. The difference between Keith Jones this year from a year ago is they give him the ball on 3rd and 2. He was an outside runner a year ago. Watch the fullback come in here and seal on the linebacker. Anytime you run an off-tackle power play, you need to have the block by the fullback. And that's exactly what opened it up for Keith Jones. An I-formation team needs a strong blocker at fullback.
Right now, Nebraska is going helmet on helmet and getting the best of it in this drive. A very base attack so far. Now they're going to bring the reverse. And here comes the flea flicker. Taylor with plenty of time under pressure. Couldn't get a receiver open. Gets a crushing block on the outside. Taylor gets a first down. What a block. John McCormick, the guard, coming back to free him.
Steve Taylor has great presence. And good players play great in big games. And that's what Steve Taylor is doing right on this play. The play really wasn't open, and he didn't force it. And oftentimes, quarterbacks will want to do that. That was McCormick's block that you saw there. And so far, it's been Steve Taylor's feet rather than his arm, and perhaps his head, that is leading this drive.
One of the greats here, and they've had some good ones. Remember Turner Gill? Taylor off a fake. Incomplete. Todd Milliken, another of the talented tight ends, was the intended receiver. Dixon and David Vickers, number 10, the safety men, on the coverage, and there is a penalty flag back around the line of scrimmage.
Brent, Nebraska uses a tight end more than anybody in college football, and I love to see it. And they've got two very good ones. They'll have them in the game often at the same time. Todd Milliken, number 43, has the speed on the play, and he's had a terrific year, 3 touchdown catches thus far.
And Dixon with another big play in that secondary. He deflected the ball.
It is still first down.
That's a holding call against the Cornhuskers. Moves the ball back to the other side of the 40-yard line. To get a first down, they must get to the 21.
Nebraska will spread the ball around throwing the football, but their backs don't catch it. Only one reception among all the backs this year for Nebraska.
They run the draw with Jones. Huge hole on that left side. Gets to the 25. It'll put him in second and short with that 16-yard burst.
Jake Young, the center, and watch the guards, too. John McCormick and Andy Keeler, number 65, open this up. Now, this really shouldn't happen on second and long. This is very much a drawdown. The Oklahoma defense knows to expect that, but it was just very good execution by the offensive line of Nebraska.
Dante Jones was handled on that play. Their very talented inside linebacker. They pushed him out. Now they bring Jones again, and he explodes. Touchdown, Nebraska. To attempt the extra point. Left-footed, soccer style, perfect. The Cornhuskers have scored in 22 straight quarters.
Brent, on that drive, the fullback, Micah Heibel, had 3 great blocks. Number 48 in the middle of the screen right there on Dante Jones. That cleared the way for Keith Jones. Remember, he made an earlier block for Steve Taylor as well. Terrific blocking by the fullback of Nebraska set up that touchdown run.
Two of the great Gale Sayers rushing records, and here he puts the Huskers ahead.
Brent, to play guard at Nebraska, you have to be able to block straight ahead, but also pull and trap and kick out. Watch John McCormick, the All-American, lead Keith Jones here and seal on Lonnie Finch, number 9, the defensive back. He steps around through the traffic, has good vision. That's tough for a lineman to do through all that traffic. Find that man to block, but he did a sensational job of it.
Nebraska with the lead, and Chris Brennan prepared to kick it off. Again, he drives the return man into the end zone for a touchback. 2 for 2 for Drennan. Tomorrow, our football coverage continues. We will be talking to Jay Schrader and Doug Williams, the 2 quarterbacks of the Washington Redskins. And many of you will be watching the Chicago Bears and make a bet that the fridge doesn't carry the ball inside the 5. And a big one, too. The Giants down in New Orleans, the revitalized Saints. The Giants must win to keep going in their bid to return to the playoffs. We have not seen Jackson catch a pass yet. 3rd series for the Sooners. They're down by a touchdown. Thompson keeps it.
Boy, it was a terrific block there, though, by Keith Jackson. Anytime you run to the strong side of the formation, your tight end has to block, and Keith Jackson just buried the man over him.
Thompson has rushed 5 times for 32 yards.
You know, Brent, this tells you what kind of season Oklahoma has had. This is only the 2nd time this season that Oklahoma has been behind. The other time was against Texas. They can score some points quickly.
Time remaining in the 1st quarter. Anderson, the fullback, comes out to the 31-yard line. Etienne. And remember, Etienne has made the biggest play of the game. We have raved about the touchdown run, but it was Etienne who recovered that fumble down here at the other end when Oklahoma was going in with its first possession. Arthur Guest, number 18, bringing the play in from Coach Switzer's sideline. He now comes to the bottom right-hand side of the screen, really, and just out of the frame. There was movement by the fullback. He moved ahead of the snap count. And this penalty will go against Oklahoma.
You know, sometimes that happens to a player like Rodney Anderson. He had to fumble earlier in the game as well. You get real tentative. You start fumbling. He's had some fumbling problems the last couple of weeks. You start running in a tight fashion and make mistakes. There's a guy who's been remarkably loose all week and coached an awful lot of big games.
So the ball is spotted at the Oklahoma 25-yard line. 1st and 15 for freshman quarterback Charles Thompson. Shadows beginning to lengthen here in the late afternoon sunshine of Lincoln, Nebraska. But the weather is glorious for this confrontation as the time will run out here in the first quarter. Nebraska 7, Oklahoma nothing. And college football on CBS will return right after this message and a word from your local station. Lydell Carr. His backup Anderson has fumbled and also drawn a critical penalty. So we start the second quarter, and on the pitch they hit Collins, and with his great speed, he's finally forced out of bounds by Tim Jackson, junior from Dallas. Speaking of Holloway, let's go down to John Dockery. Doc.
Thank you, Brent. And Jamel, the operation 2 weeks ago was a success. You'll be back next year.
Yes, it went really well, Dr. Fletcher said, and I'll be back next year.
I saw you talking over to the young Charles Thompson. What did you tell him?
I just told him keep his composure, keep the team under order, and tell Rodney to hold onto the ball a little bit tighter. You know, I know all week long you spent some time with him. What kind of questions did he have for you? Just asked him basically about the crowd and how to deal with it, and I just gave him my best point of view of it.
Okay, thank you. Good luck to you, Brent.
Thank you.
All right, John, and Anderson straight ahead after Collins' 16-yard run gave the Sooners a first down. Noseman Lawrence Pete, junior from Wichita, Kansas, making the tackle. We come down the home stretch of this college football season.
Boy, Ironhead had a day, huh?
He's had a season. How about Augustana? 60-game unbeaten streak.
Who's that?
Here are the Sooners who have not lost since early a year ago at the hands of Miami. That base play and the one that is critical to the success of the wishbone. The fullback with that power. You might wonder, those of you who haven't seen too much of the wishbone, or this is one of the few college games you watch, how do they know when to give it to the fullback? It's done on pressure. When the quarterback sees that he's got the read in the spot, Pat, show everybody.
Right here, the look down here, he'll read this man. If he comes in, and then he runs right down and reads the second man down the line of scrimmage. But it is done on pressure. You're absolutely right. It's a feel thing.
Tightens up in that tummy, and Rodney says time to go to work. A little reverse pivot, and Thompson, who is elusive, gets free. Talk about Charles Thompson. If you go through the years with Coach Switzer, he has had some replacements, and they have been good ones. Thomas Lott, Holloway himself replacing Troy Aikman, who went out with that broken leg. Now today is Thompson. Aikman transferred from Oklahoma and has had a great year at UCLA.
Yeah, Oklahoma is the only program in the country that can send away a future #1 draft pick, maybe a Heisman Trophy winner, and not miss a beat.
Sooners on the move again behind Thompson. Here they hit Collins. And the senior from Tulsa is doing a good job of getting to the corner. And the key to that is when the other halfback blocks. Anthony Stafford leading the way. Now, both of these running backs are short. Stafford is only about 5'7", and Collins is 5'10", but they seem to get in underneath the defensive player, and they get great blocking leverage.
Well, they run with such great velocity, and they get at defenders' knees. It's tough keeping those guys away from your legs. Once they get to your legs, you're either blocked or the runner's by you.
Speaking of Aikman, he has the Bruins up by 7. Michigan State could be meeting them in the Rose Bowl, and we'll see Oklahoma State in the Sun Bowl. Texas A&M rebounds, and if they can beat Texas, we'll see A&M and Notre Dame in the Cotton Bowl.
No, Brent, I think reading the triple option, which Charles Thompson is doing here today, is every bit as difficult, perhaps more difficult than a drop-back passer reading pass coverage, because things happen much faster to you. You're running right into the teeth of the defender. Guys like that don't get enough credit for reading defenses.
Parham is in at tight end, and Jackson is out for this play. Thompson with the call at the line. That was Tim Rother, the defensive lineman, making that play for Coach Osborne.
The Nebraska defensive front, Tim Rother and Lawrence Pete inside in particular, have done a nice job of taking the fullback away from Oklahoma.
So with 12:51 to go here in the second quarter, Nebraska with the game's only score, a touchdown run by I-back Keith Jones, and it's 7-0. Jackson has returned. Thompson keeps it. There was great support that time as Jamrog came over and Lorenzo Hicks also, along with Mark Blezak, who made the key play on this defensively.
And we said earlier on, the free safety against the wishbone has to make an awful lot of tackles. Blazek, number 23, comes up and makes the support play right there. He's an interesting guy. Another one of the walk-ons here who start for Nebraska. He's also in the Army National Reserve. Drives tanks on weekends in the offseason. Great player.
Oklahoma's 4 of 5 on its third down so far. Thompson with a late pitch and a dangerous one. Great defensive play by Tien.
Again, in the top of the screen, middle of the screen, number 23, Blazek, and ATN 47 do a sensational job. Now, they force the pitch there, which is the first thing you must do. ATN, number 47, fights off a block and makes the play with some help from Blazek. Well, ATN is really playing well, as is that young man.
Now, this would be a 44-yard field goal attempt by R.D. Lasher, the freshman. It was his brother, Tim, who hit the winner against Nebraska a year ago. He has the wind at his back. No good.
He thought it was good. Lasher and his holder were signaling good. They thought it was good. Take another look at it here. You're going to watch the holder put his hands up. Watch the holder, too. He puts his hands up. He thought it was good.
The goalposts in the NFL stand taller.
Well, Lasher and the holder both think this ball is good. You're going to see the ball go right over the right corner there. Right? There's the ball. And that is questionable whether it is, but I think with taller goalposts, clearly that would have been able to be able to see it much better whether it was good or not.
The goalposts were lengthened in the NFL after a controversial ending between Green Bay and Baltimore, as I recall it. Don Shula was the coach of the Colts, and Don Chandler buried one. And to this day, Shula thinks that it was outside and no good. Here it's Nebraska with the ball on a lead of a touchdown, and the man who scored it, the I-back, with his carry, Keith Jones. Dante Jones makes the stop. Downstairs, we get word from John Dockery, who had a better view than we did, that he thought it was about a foot wide. So we will go with John. He had a better view from down there.
He's a pretty trustworthy guy, isn't he? The man from Harvard.
Sooner defense. Dante Jones in particular starting to come alive now.
Good look there at Micah Heibel, who made the 3 blocks on the touchdown series. But what you measure a good fullback by is how many yards after contact. Heibel really, he was stopped dead by Dante Jones, but still was able to pick up, maybe a yard or 2. And to measure a good fullback, that's what you do. Yards after contact.
different looks Coach Osborne gives you with his changes and formations. Taylor rolling out to the left, throwing back incomplete, wanted Milligan. Dixon was with the coverage. Now that Oklahoma defense includes some very fine players. Dante Williams, 270 pounds. Now the defensive tackles. Evans only a freshman. Kilpatrick at 260 pounds. The ends are really great ones, both seniors. There are the inside linebackers. So John Croker's second punt had the wind at his back for his first one. Derek White standing inside his 35-yard line.
Wow.
He drove one into the wind. White's surrounded. Richard Bell, number 21, getting down there with that special team. And it was only a 5-yard return on a splendid 48-yard punt. Number 2. And in the 80s, that has happened 3 previous times. USC beating Oklahoma in 81 by 4 points. Then in 85, it was Iowa with a field goal as time running out, downing Michigan by 2. Then a year ago, in the Orange Bowl, Miami beating Oklahoma. Overall now, the number 1 teams lead 14-5, and there have been 2 ties. Here, Oklahoma with the ball, trailing Nebraska 7-0. And again, running that base offense and a penalty flag. Looked like a face mask infraction.
Oh, it definitely was. It was definitely a face mask. Like Lawrence Pete got a hold of him. There he is. He's a man that actually Oklahoma offensive line felt they could control the nose tackle of Nebraska. And again, when you're running the fullback play, you have to be able to do that.
If we step back and think about a game 7-0, it is going exactly the way Barry Switzer wants it to go. Stay close and see if he can beat Nebraska late. He does not want a wide open shootout. He's missing a lot of firepower in this game. This time Thompson pulls it out, and great catch by you-know-who. We've been waiting for Keith Jackson to make his debut in this game, and he does with emphasis that time. 20 yards.
And Brent, this is obviously set up by all the runs that Oklahoma makes. Keith Jackson right down the middle is going to come and run a corner route, and the free safety tries to come over and make the play on him. But when you have to respect the run as much as you do when you play Oklahoma, he gets a free release. That's one thing. If you're going to stop Keith Jackson, you can't let him off the line of scrimmage free like that.
Reaching back, turning the wrong way, still coming up with it. Thompson on the pitch again, and they have featured this play with Collins behind the blocking of Stafford.
And another great block by Keith Jackson there. Buried the man ahead of him. I tell you, I like to see that out of athletes like him that'll go down and make a big play on a pass play and then won't take a vacation on the next play. Will do all his best to make a big block.
He will certainly be a first-round draft choice. And it's expected that the right tackle for Oklahoma, number 75, Greg Johnson, will go very high, too. Anderson. Close to the 35-yard line. They were in second and short that time. And again, the Sooners moving. They have not been able to finish off. Lorenzo White winding up. Great career up at Michigan State. Sensational year for Indiana and Coach Bill Mallory as they bring the chains across to the near side for the measurement.
Fred, you mentioned Greg Johnson being a high draft pick, number 75. He and Anthony Phillips in the offensive line have played together right next to each other for 3 straight years. And in the offensive line, you depend more on one another than any other position in football. There's more teamwork and more cooperation involved in the offensive line than anywhere.
but they have not scored. Anderson stood up that time. Thomas, 89, one of the first to wrap him up.
Great standstill by the front five in Nebraska. They slant inside, and Broderick Thomas really slanted right into the play. Great upper body strength. Quickness on the slant move, and then strength to make the play.
If you're an Oklahoma fan, you're thinking about how the game is close and the defenses are dominating it. You also have to be pleased about the fact that Charles Thompson is not taking too much punishment. Being small, they don't want him worn down in this game. Anderson barreling right straight ahead, one of his best runs. Etienne brings him down. Boy, Leroy Etienne, number 47, junior out of Louisiana, turning in a strong game. Let's get down to John Dockery. Doc?
Brent, you know, all week long people have been talking about this as the game of the century, too. Well, Jerry Taggy, you were in the game of the century, won 35-31 over Oklahoma. Does this game compare?
It has all the makings. Both offensives have moved the ball very well. Oklahoma's killing themselves. Defense is going to have to win this ball game.
All right, Jerry Taggy, quarterback of the 1971 Nebraska team. Now back to you, Brent.
Jack Mildren was the Oklahoma quarterback that day. Best game I ever saw. Thompson keeps it this time, and he is crushed. What would happen if Thompson goes out? Well, Eric Mitchell has been switched back to quarterback. But here's a story for you. Number 11 is Glenn Sullivan. Now, he signed with the Chicago Cubs, and he was in Geneva this summer where he batted .340 as a first baseman outfielder. When they lost Holloway, they called Sullivan, who had eligibility, and said, will you come back? And so 2 weeks ago, he took a snap for the first time. Now, the Cubs gave him a contract that expired before football because he knew all along that he might be able to try it. Then when Thompson arrived and was doing so well, he elected to sit out until the emergency call came. Anderson is hammered here. And Nebraska again signaling that the ball was put on the carpet. And let's see what happens after they unpile it. We'll wait for the officials this time. This has been the bugaboo for Switzer's offense.
The problem, I think, Brent, is that
and the man who got up off the bottom of that pile was John Marco. Thomas also in the midst of it.
watch the nose tackle here, Pete. He gets very quick penetration, and the fullback is getting hit much too quickly, and that's part of the reason that Anderson has fumbled twice in this game. Pete, the man they thought they could control, has done a nice job thus far in the game.
Perhaps they should call the Chicago Cubs and see if they've got a fullback with eligibility the way things are going. Tough afternoon for Anderson. 1st and 10. Heibel, the Cornhusker fullback, running as penalty flags come flying. It's a long day with 2 fumbles and a critical 5-yard penalty. Remember when the spring practice hit down in Norman, he was listed 3 on the depth charts. They had 2 fullbacks ahead of him.
And just to give you a comparison, Lydell Carr only had 4 fumbles and 105 carries this entire year. You know, when you think of a high-risk offense, you really don't think of the fumbles coming on the exchange between quarterback and fullback.
Barry probably will take a look at Mike McKinley, the freshman fullback out of Perryton, Texas. He was running with the second team in the pregame warm-ups. So Oklahoma threatens twice and fumbles away each opportunity. Nebraska has scored once. They took over on their own 16 in March. Here's the reverse, and it's Brinson, the wingback, coming around. He gets outside the corner before Vickers 10 hammers him.
What a sensational job by Vickers. Otherwise, that is a very big play. He got his bell rung there a little bit. A nice play there by Nebraska. Dana Brinson was the man in motion. He's the man in motion, but he's also going to be the man who gets the reverse as Keith Jones gives it to him coming back. Now he gets around Derek White, number 14, but watch number 10, Vickers, who comes from all the way over on the other safety spot to make the play. Stayed at home, just what you need to do.
So while Vickers is being tended to, we'll take a break. We have 5:10 remaining in the first half. Right, but because he received medical attention, he will have to stand out for at least one play. His backup, Ken McMitchell, a sophomore from Indianapolis, number 12, takes his spot on the field for the defense here. This is a third down play coming up for Nebraska and quarterback Steve Taylor. Taking the draw. He is sealed up. No place to go as Dante Williams, the nose man, held firm. Let's go downstairs to John Dockery. John?
Thank you, Brent. This is Lydell Carr. Lydell, no operation on the knee. Expect to be back?
Well, yes, I'll definitely be back for the Orange Bowl.
Okay. What about the fumble problem? It's cursed Oklahoma all year long. What's the problem?
Well, right now we're just beating ourselves. We should have 14 points on the board right now. And on the first one down there, it was, you know, a clear fumble. But this one down here, it looked like Rodney was down. He told me he was down.
Okay, I know they miss you out there today. Up to you, Brent.
All right, and Rodney or whomever will get an opportunity here following this Croker punt. And he bangs another one toward White, who signaled for a fair catch, and makes it at the 19-yard line.
Those are all big plays by Croker. He has booted 2 into the wind to give Oklahoma poor field position.
So tomorrow we'll start our coverage at 12:30 Eastern time with the NFL Today. We'll talk about the quarterback situation with the Washington Redskins. Then we'll send you on your way. Detroit, Chicago, San Francisco must come back after that tough loss against New Orleans. They'll be down in Tampa taking on Ray Perkins' team. And also the New York Giants have an appointment in New Orleans against the revitalized Saints. Coach Jim Mora, General Manager Jim Finks have turned that team around. Now first down. Thompson off the fake, keeps it, and he is hauled down. Neil Smith, 99. And speaking of the NFL, folks, you'll see him out there. He is 6'5", 260 pounds, and he can move.
And he's all athlete, and a lot of times when you see guys that fast, all they are is pass rushers. But Neil Smith plays the run just as hard as he does on the pass. On the right side of the screen, beats his man inside quickly. See, the offensive tackle has never seen a defensive end that fast. He doesn't think he can get down there, but Neil Smith can.
Timeout being taken here by Thompson and Oklahoma. Thompson will talk it over with Switzer and the OU assistants. We'll be right back. That's what Oklahoma has done. 2 critical fumbles. Both times they were on the move. The national championship possibly on the line here today, although the winners still must take on Miami in the Orange Bowl. And for Nebraska, they have a game next Saturday against Colorado as Thompson straight back. Now moving out of the pocket and can't get it off, and the same big fella Neil Smith collapses on him.
Again, we said Neil Smith was just as good on the run and the pass. The play earlier, he made the play coming from the other side on the run. There, the sack. A lot of pressure on Charles Thompson, but the nice thing about Thompson here, he didn't force the ball, didn't create a turnover. Nothing was there, and he was trying to use his athleticism to make something out of it, and almost did. Really like this Neil Smith. Goes hard every down.
Facing the 3rd and long. With that great speed, comes out to the 35 with Fryer in pursuit and getting him out of bounds. That's a 17-yard run by the freshman quarterback.
Very important drive here, Brent, for Oklahoma with 2:38. But every time you get to the outside, we talked about the lead blockers. Watch Anthony Stafford block the support man out here, and that gave Thompson the chance to get to the perimeter of the defense. He puts the block right. See how low he gets? Jamrog has no chance to fight him off.
The blocking at the perimeter has been superb by Oklahoma this afternoon. Now Thompson goes straight back. Incomplete. He overthrew his wide receiver. And Blazak down there with the coverage, number 23, and he felt he should have intercepted it.
That's a play you have to make in this game to win an Orange Bowl berth. Ball is clearly overthrown. Blazak had him well covered. He saw it all the way, but just didn't make a very good play on it. As I was saying, very important series here for Oklahoma. That 2 minutes and 21 seconds, 2 timeouts left.
Quarterback draw. Thompson's got great speed. This time he's to the 48-yard line, and a penalty flag is thrown after Thompson is taken out of bounds, and you could see the disgust expressed by Coach Tom Osborne. A 12-yard gain, and if it is tagged on because of the hit by Brian Washington down there, this will be a very costly penalty. And that's exactly what it is going to be. That will turn a 12-yard gain into a 27-yard gain, and watch the hit here. Washington coming in way late after he's out of bounds. It is possible that he took a look at the wrong white mark, if we give him the benefit of the doubt. The boundary line for the team there standing on the sideline, because that was way late. He knows better than that.
The missed interception by Blazak the play before even looms larger.
Spotted at the 36. Collins going in motion off your screen. Thompson now dropping straight back. This one is intercepted by Tomczak. Jeff Tomczak.
Everybody talks about Nebraska's and Oklahoma's offense, but you're seeing 2 very good defenses here. Free safety Tomczak, number 11, was in on the nickel situation, read the play the whole way. Charles Thompson didn't look off, and that allowed Tomczak to make the interception.
He'll step out of bounds here at the 10-yard line, and that's where the ball will be spotted. Steve Taylor with the clock showing 2:07. Taylor runs the quarterback draw. Now let's present our Toyota Leadership Awards, and the winners are Patrick Collins from Oklahoma. He's a business management major from Tulsa, and Mark Blazak from Nebraska. He's a social science education major from Valparaiso, Nebraska, and Toyota donates a check in the amount of $1,000 to each school's general scholarship fund. Great defense against Taylor that time. Could not get away from Darren Kilpatrick, the junior from Porter, Oklahoma.
Top of the screen, watch Darren Kilpatrick, number 90, who's going to come in on a stunt inside. It looks like there's some confusion. The fullback is supposed to block him, and then the left guard misses him. Kilpatrick makes the play. Good stunt.
So a timeout is called by Nebraska, and that gives us an opportunity to take a look at these 2 fine schools. Oklahoma drove 84 yards in the opening quarter. Keith Jones taking it in from the 25, 7-0. But this quarter, not one first down yet for Nebraska as Brinson goes in motion. Off the play fake, good time, incomplete. He wanted Tom Banderas.
I'll tell you, that is a big drop there, because now Nebraska's going to have to punt the ball. Now that's a man who's been catching the ball all season long, and a terrific throw. He's the tight end. Good speed by both tight ends from Nebraska. Fights off Finch. He's open there. The ball is beautifully thrown and should have been caught.
I don't know whether both teams are tight. The weather's beautiful, but we have not had good execution. An opportunity for White to give Oklahoma some great field position. And it takes a Nebraska bounce. That ball comes dead on the other side of the 45. That's a 43-yard boot. And John Croker doing a superb job. He came in averaging only 37 yards a punt, but that junior from Henderson, Nebraska, is keeping Oklahoma way back. And at halftime, we'll have the Prudential College Football Report with Jim Nantz. Well, there are our senior classes represented here. Oklahoma with 4. And that's their only losses so far. You can see 2 of them to Miami. Thompson straight back on first down. Running out of trouble. Tripped up from behind. That was Lawrence Pete.
Give Thompson the presence to get himself out of bounds. He realizes now that this is a very important series for Oklahoma. But one of the reasons he was able to get out of bounds was because he picked up a nice block. You're going to see it on the right part of your screen. I'll get back to it in a moment.
They had to hurry up because the clock continued to move, Pat, and now it is stopped at 40 seconds.
Charles Thompson hurried that throw a little bit, much like he's hurried some of his play on the exchanges between himself and the fullback.
Guess bringing the play in from Barry's sideline. This is a big 3rd and 11 with 40 seconds to go.
Neil Smith, who's played so well in this first half, is walking off the field. I believe he's injured. He's been playing with an injured ankle all game. They had to take him off.
Overthrew the intended receiver, Jackson. Thompson and the punting team onto the field for OU.
Nebraska has returned 2 punts for touchdowns this year.
Brinson dangerous. Hemmed in by the sideline there at the 14. And rocked. That's a 43-yard punt into perfect position. And Brinson could only get 2 yards back. So they have stopped him with a 6-yard and a 2-yard return. Of course, at halftime, Jim Nantz will have all the scores for you.
As we head into halftime, Brett, I've really been impressed with the way the Oklahoma defense has played. Other than the one long run, the defense has played sensationally. Their offense, on the other hand, it's been the turnovers that have been the difference, I think.
Electing to run the clock down.
This has been a 4th quarter type of game throughout this series. And this game again today will come down to the 4th quarter, I guarantee you.
Only 1 score in the first half. And it came in the first quarter. Tom Osborne's Cornhuskers on the move. They drove 84 yards, and then it was their I-back, Keith Jones, taking the toss from Steve Taylor and working his way down the right sideline for 25 yards, beating the Oklahoma safeties into the end zone. 7-0. Jim will be back with a college football report after this message and a word from your local stations. Elects to take the touchback, and it'll come out to the 20-yard line. And so Steve Taylor, who has said, truth is, Oklahoma can't play with us. It might not even be close. But, folks, it has been close so far as Taylor dashes back out of the field. He has completed only 1 of 4 passes here.
And, Brent, I bet you Tom Osborne had reminded his players of what happened a year ago with the lead going into the 4th quarter, how Oklahoma came back. So they've been reminded of what history said last year.
Power football straight ahead. High ball from the left. And I asked quarterback Steve Taylor if he popped off too much about what he was going to do.
It might be a motivating factor to them, but I said that and I really meant it. And, it was taken out of context, and I could have went about it a different manner. But, it's what I really see in Oklahoma is a little bit of doubt this year. The previous Oklahoma teams wouldn't have to do that, and so that's a fact that I pointed out to people, that I think there is some doubt in their minds because of their schedule and the way they've been playing the last few weeks.
And the penalty marker comes down. Andy Keeler on the left side of the line. Going against the Cornhuskers here as we start the 3rd quarter.
The play selection has been amazing. You heard Barry Switzer say that he felt they've dominated the game, and he is right. They've had the ball almost twice as many plays as Nebraska. It's from the 2 fumbles, and where they fumbled the ball, that's been the difference.
They run the draw play with Keith Jones. Kilpatrick again making the stop. Total offense shows Oklahoma dominating, as Switzer told John. And this Sooner defense, Pat.
Oh, boy. They have really played well. Dante Jones and Darrell Reed on the outside. Their stand-up linebackers really have played well.
When they say this one's a war, they're not kidding. One of the Phillips brothers down there on the sideline. Play action. Intercepted. Dixon on the deflection. And Oklahoma with a golden opportunity.
One of the things Steve Taylor has done this year is not turn the ball over at critical parts and times of the game, parts of the field and times of the game. This time he drills the ball, but the ball is tipped. And Ricky Dixon, whom we saw make some great plays early in the game, was right there to make the play. And that's what a free safety should be, right in that position and pick up any tipped balls.
Derek White tips this ball right here, number 14. And Dixon's got it. And now Thompson brings the Sooners to the line of scrimmage at the 13-yard line. Anderson powers to the 11. Barry Switzer in Oklahoma, trailing Nebraska by 7. Anderson fumbled away a couple of opportunities in the first half, but he's the best that Oklahoma has. The junior from Dickinson, Texas. This stadium has been sold out for every Nebraska game since 1962. The pitch is to Stafford. Collins with a lead block. Touchdown for the Sooners.
But it's like fast break basketball. When they get on the corner of the defense, they have you outnumbered 2-on-1 or 3-on-2. That's the situation they're trying to set up all day long.
Now it's R.D. Lasher. He just missed a field goal in the first half, but he hammers this one straight and true. We are tied. It's the kind of game Barry Switzer and the Sooners wanted. Low scoring, dominated by the defenses.
And again, the key was the lead block by Patrick Collins. Very unselfish player, these running backs from Oklahoma. He cleared the way for Anthony Stafford to hop into the end zone.
Sellers, and there were just a few, could get upwards of $200 for a seat to this one. 7-all early on in the 3rd quarter.
Anybody he didn't say hello to?
Thompson picks it off for the Sooners. And again, he buries one in the end zone. Brinson will down it. It'll come out at the 20-yard line.
Brett, there were two key blocks on Stafford's run. The first is the block by the right tackle as he comes down and seals inside. But the key block was by Patrick Collins, who came out and blocked on the corner and allowed Stafford to sneak into the end zone. The halfbacks at Oklahoma have to be able to block. Watch how he gets right into his legs. And when you get there, it just gets enough of a block that allows Stafford to slip in.
Now the pressure is squarely on quarterback Steve Taylor, Coach Tom Osborne, and the Cornhuskers. They have responded all year. Base play is the toss, and Keith Jones brings it right up straight behind the middle of the offensive line and into the arms of Dante Williams, the nose man.
Important series here for Steve Taylor. A quarterback, after he throws an interception, oftentimes is in shock. A coach can help the quarterback to get his confidence back by having him throw some easy passes where he feels better about himself.
Toss again. Jones throwing right straight ahead. They have to get out to the 30-yard line for a first down. Richard Dillon, 41, in on the stop.
This Oklahoma defense is very good. Both power of football up the middle, they can stop you, and they can go from sideline to sideline as well. Look at the early penetration by the Sooner defense, and there's nowhere for Jones to go.
Taylor, superb running quarterback. Hands off this time, and Jones is stopped short. He had to get to the 30. Dante Jones, number 50, steps right up there with Dillon. This is going to be 3 downs and out for Osborne. Big moment and a big stand by the Sooner defense. And Tom can't believe it either. It was a very basic 3 plays directed at the Sooner defense that time. He has been a standout here this afternoon. Into the wind again with White. Snap. And the ball to the 37 is Patrick Collins. On and our spotter Jimmy Tubbs and our stage manager Luke Odie. And folks, when you're up this high and back this far, need all the help you can get with Pat Hayden. We got the best on this crew.
Oh, and Roger Riley, our stat man as well.
Down in the truck, we've got Mike Burks and Joe Assetti. Even Teddy Shaker has joined him for this one. It must be important.
1 versus 2, they all come.
Tied at 7 now in the 3rd quarter. Strap it in now. 10:49, and here we go. Thompson rides the fullback and keeps it. Turns upfield with that great speed. Neil Smith in pursuit. An 11-yard gain, and also Broderick Thomas, 89.
Nice move there by Charles Thompson. As he froze the defender, he actually faked the pitch and then cut back up inside. He's really accounted well for himself today. Watch, he's going to freeze the defender after the fake to the fullback. Nice exchange there. Watch him fake the pitch. Just a little stutter step there. The defender went to the pitch man, and he made the play.
Quickly, the play comes in from the sideline. There's Eric Ross, a backup split end, number 36, whose message is in. Anderson stopped at midfield.
Oklahoma this year has used Keith Jackson as a runner as well. He's had 7 carries on tight end reverses. Remember, 2 years ago was Jackson's reverse really that beat Nebraska. Last year he beat him with a couple of big catches, but they have not gone to him much this afternoon.
There's Stafford. The defense is ready, and still he squeezes out a couple of extra yards. That action over there on the far sideline is how Coach Switzer was injured a couple of weeks ago. when a defensive player rolled up on his left knee. Sprained his ligaments.
Good look at Anthony Stafford there. These are some of the most unselfish backs I've seen at Oklahoma, because they're just as good at blocking and want to block so well for one another as much as carry the ball.
On the pitch, they bring Collins behind Stafford. The Nebraska defense getting more help on the corners off the pitch.
What they made Oklahoma do here is run east and west and really stretched it out on a 3rd and 4. Oklahoma has the ball on the perimeter. That's where they want to be. Washington fights off the block, and Athien, number 47, who's having a sensational day, makes the play.
Force an Oklahoma punt. Brinson awaits it. He's standing on his own 10. Into the end zone. It'll come out at the 20-yard line. So as the ball comes out, let's get an update downstairs from John Docker. Doc?
Brent, it was interesting. While the defense was on the field for Nebraska, the man who's supposed to be unemotional, Tom Osborne, gathered his offense around him and was very strong in telling them, we have to sustain some emotion, our blocks, and get the momentum back in this game. Be interesting to see if the offense does it right now.
You know, John, they had 94 yards in the first quarter and only 28 cents. A full pivot this time by Taylor, and he's tripped up by Jones. Number 50, Dante Jones, the senior from Dallas, Texas. He became the main linebacker after Brian Bosworth graduated to the NFL. He played alongside Bosworth last year. He was overshadowed, but he began to come into his own in the Orange Bowl. And now he relays the defensive signals to the huddle. Curtis Williams, 93, who got him from behind.
And Brent, the reason that Nebraska has not been real successful with their offense is because the defensive front right there, Curtis Williams and Dane Williams up front, have done a sensational job of penetrating. Steve Taylor has nowhere to go, and the running backs really have no creases in the defense.
And again, that Oklahoma defense has kept Osborne in 3rd and long. Is ready as Dante Williams, the nose man, 98, comes up with still another big play.
You know, Brent, it's very difficult to keep your emotion up defensively the entire football game, but Oklahoma came out, and from the very first play onward, they've played aggressive, emotional defense. It's difficult to sustain, but the Sooners have done it thus far.
Already, he's punted 5 times. Is back along with White. Low line drive. Fair catch is signaled, and then they let it go. Confusion on the part of the 2 return men. Derek White was not back there alone. The arm went up for the fair catch. They converged and let the ball go between them. So a mental blunder here by the Sooners, and it becomes a 51-yard punt.
Well, Brent, the man who calls the fair catch is the one who should catch the ball. You know, on the right, Patrick Collins signaled for the fair catch, but then it looked like he was expecting Derek White to make the catch. He can't do that.
Oklahoma will have the ball on its own 25. We're tied at 7. 7:19 left in the 3rd. To go here in Lincoln, Nebraska. The Cornhuskers struck first, and the Sooners have tied it in the second half. The breeze blowing the flag. The lights turned on the late afternoon. Movement in the backfield. That'll go against the Sooners. One of the running backs jumped the count that time. And it'll be 1st and 15 against Osborne's defense.
This game is close enough that mistakes like that, a mental error like that, which costs you 5 yards, perhaps a penalty, will be the difference in this ball game in the 4th quarter.
The tension now on the faces on both sides as that clock starts to wind down.
On the offense, it'll still be 1st down.
Excellent opportunity here for the Nebraska defense to bow their necks, force a punt, and get themselves in pretty good field position, which they really haven't had much of today to start a drive.
Middle off a great fake. The middle of the defense ready. Lee Jones, who checked in. He is Keith's brother out of Omaha, and he whacked him.
Very good defensive work. About 4 players around the ball here. This is the time you don't want to be a fullback. 3 or 4 red jerseys there. If you stop them there, then you force them to the outside, and that's where they can really be trouble on the corner of the defense.
This is 83. Throwing spot. Thompson's back. Incomplete. He overthrew Cabanis. Perhaps you have seen that Hunta-Yo that's written what he is wearing around his neck, the young quarterback. That's the title of a novel, and in Sioux Indian, that means clear the way. And young Thompson right now wants this Oklahoma offensive line to clear the way. Again, the crowd bothering him. You know, Pat, you made an observation about the crowd early in the game, and you said the one thing you shouldn't do is let the crowd know that you're bothered by them. Might be an exception here in Lincoln, Nebraska. These folks are so nice down here. But right after that, they did tone it down a little bit. You know, they have been great sportsmen down here through the years when you think about it.
And there's great feeling between these two, although they're very big competitors, obviously. But the other thing that happened there, too, is you saw a little bit different formation from Oklahoma than they ordinarily run, which the Nebraska defense had an opportunity to look at. There are great fans here at Nebraska. Nice to us all week. Very important down here for the Nebraska defense. As we said, 3rd and 11. Force the punt and start with the ball at about midfield.
They have changed the play again. Guest took it out there. He's been replaced, and Cabanis came in. They want a slot to the left. Into the middle, incomplete. Ryan Washington comes over and pops the intended receiver.
Stafford, who is normally a tailback, shifted out and runs down here. And here is the free safety, Brian Washington, who just reads the quarterback the whole way. Watch his head. And Thompson doesn't look him off again, and he's there to make the play. Really had an opportunity to make the interception.
The return is set. Smith tackled at the 40-yard line. 40-yard punt and a 4-yard return. Tomorrow we'll be on the air at 12:30 Eastern. We'll talk about the Washington Redskin quarterback situation. Discuss it with Schrader and Williams. Then our games on CBS. And many of you will watch the Giants and the Saints. Taylor at the line. Now the late pitch to Jones. A little bit of a backyard play. Make it up as you go along. 12 yards. Let's make up more, says Osborne. There is a penalty marker down.
Actually, Steve Taylor on that play, Brent, has 3 or 4 different options. The first is to throw the ball, and then the actual one is, the second one is to come down the line of scrimmage. Watch, the first option is the pass. No one's there. He's supposed to come down the line of scrimmage and actually pitch the ball to Keith Jones. He did it a little unconventionally, for sure. A holding penalty against the Sooners.
On the defense, it's declined. First down.
It was declined because they picked up the first down, obviously. It might have been just been a 5-yard penalty on that particular holding. Steve Taylor is the leader of this team. This is the time of the game where he must take control if Nebraska's going to win.
He has a first down at the Sooner 47. The option, this is Jones. And quickly, 3 Sooner defenders hit him. Troy Johnson, number 80, amongst them.
Once again, tremendous pursuit down the line from the defensive front. And it's not just linebackers and not just defensive backs. The linemen get into the action as well. Watch number 80, Troy Johnson, the defensive end, come all the way down to make the play, too. Good support from the corner.
That toss to Jones. So it'll be a 3rd down for Taylor and the Cornhuskers. See what has happened since that opening quarter. Oklahoma has dominated.
6 times in this series since 1971 they have come from behind to win.
Great pursuit by Reed, came right over the offensive lineman and into Taylor's face that time. Would not be denied.
Darrell Reed is a great point of attack player. He is right here in the corner. You're going to see him come on, and it's the fullback Heibel who just gets blown back. Now Heibel's a pretty good blocker, but Reed just overpowers him right there at the point of attack. He knows what this game means.
The Oklahoma defense has again risen to the occasion here in Lincoln, Nebraska. They'll let that one bounce at the goal line and into the end zone, so it'll come out on the 20-yard line. Well, Barry Switzer's great career paralleling Tom Osborne's across the way, except that he has beaten him 11 of the 15 times that they have met so far. But previously, when the Sooners have been in these 1 versus 2 confrontations, they have not fared too well. And that includes last year down in the Orange Bowl when Vinny Testaverde beat them. But now they're number 2, trying to knock off number 1. Thompson keeps it. Gets out to the 27-yard line.
When he fumbled the ball, Charles Fryer, number 10, the defensive back, actually took it right away from Thompson, and then Patrick Collins made the recovery. You're going to see number 10. He's a defensive back. Fryer come into the play as Thompson goes down the line of scrimmage, takes the ball away. Right there, the ball is on the turf. and Patrick Collins alertly falls on it. Some big hitting going on here in the second half, believe me.
You can hear the pads. Stafford down. Blazek wrapped him up. It'll be that way the rest of the way. How many times do we remember Oklahoma and Nebraska being decided by that one big play in the late afternoon? So many confrontations, I guess, in sports don't live up to all that pregame publicity. But through the years, this one always seems to. Hit hard by Blazek.
Again, a perfect example of the free safety making the play. Against a wishbone team, you're not worrying about the pass too much, so Blazek has to fill the alley. And a lot of his responsibility is just that, tackle the quarterback or force him to pitch. He's done a marvelous job of doing it today.
Thompson has kept the ball 16 times on those option runs of his against Blazek and that defense, and he's gained 95 yards. Pitch to Stafford. Great defense that time. Lorenzo Hicks, number 8, came through and broke it up.
A few years ago, Tom Osborne didn't have the speed to defend the option from sideline to sideline. But a few years ago, he made a decision that he had to recruit a different type of player to beat Oklahoma. That's what we're seeing here today. Great speed on the defensive side of the football. Guys like Broderick Thomas and Steve Forsch, Leroy Etne, guys who can run you down from behind and stretch it out.
John Green from Detroit, number 3, carried the play onto the field. Down the line with the pitch to Collins. Green leading the way, and Collins looking for daylight. He'll go. Touchdown, Oklahoma. There's the man who cleared the way. Green coming off the bench with the play that was called from upstairs. A 65-yard bolt of lightning in the late afternoon in Lincoln, Nebraska. I think they mean it. Lasher to attempt the extra point. With 1:39 to go in the third, Tom Osborne and Nebraska face an uphill fight all the way now.
We've talked about the lead blocks all day long. This time it's number 3, John Green, as the pitch out to Patrick Collins. He's going to block to his left. We said the big plays in college football come on the perimeter. The wishbone gets the ball there more than any other offense, and that's why Barry Switzer has loved the wishbone. The wishbone offense has won 5 national championships since it's been introduced in 1970. Another look, a lead block by John Green. And again, earlier, Thompson had kept the ball on those plays, and that set up the pitch here to Patrick Collins. And it's nice to see Collins do it after the fine blocks that he's thrown today.
But the key move was the insertion of John Green, who weighs 200 pounds, to lead the way. They took out a 175-pound back, gave themselves 25 more pounds of muscle to open the way, and Thompson got the pitch out.
And Brent, remember, Barry Switzer told that to John Dockery when he came out at halftime he was going to make a change at halfback to a bigger back. He didn't say who he meant, but it was obviously John Green.
So with everyone concentrating on the problems at fullback, the Oklahoma coaching staff says it's at halfback where we'll add the muscle. That offensive line doing a great job here this afternoon, as they have throughout their career. High bounce and through the end zone, and now some doubt has to be creeping into the minds of the seniors at Nebraska. They've never beaten this Oklahoma team. Downstairs to John Dockery. Doc.
Brent, I was along the sidelines doing a little eavesdropping, and Tom Osborne once again gathered his offensive team together, even before that long Oklahoma touchdown, and told them they had to be more aggressive. They had to put the ball in the air more often. I think you'll see Taylor put it up right now. Now back to you.
Doc, so far, the Oklahoma secondary has covered up a lot of the receivers. Off a play fake, they will throw it on first down, almost picked off, and the receiver that time, Brinson, had not even turned around.
Well, Steve Taylor is really having trouble throwing the ball. He's only 1 of 7 on the day. And the unusual thing about Oklahoma's defense is they're so good defending against the run, but yet they lead the nation in pass defense. You don't find that combination too often. When you stop the run, usually you give up a lot of pass yardage.
Curtis Williams being helped off. He has played well against Osborne. The freshman, Scott Evans, steps in. Taylor straight back this time. He'll take off at the 24, and that time he had Rod Smith all alone and wide open. Taylor did not pick up the open man that time. Their last 7 possessions, this Nebraska offense has gone nowhere. And now Taylor also has to be thinking about his comment when he was quoted as saying, Oklahoma can't play with us. That time a great pass. He hit Smith beautifully. Rod Smith must have come back to the huddle and told his quarterback, I can get wide open, but he took a shot in his back, and you could see his hand there as he walked away.
And what I'm impressed with, Brent, is what Taylor is backing up when he drills that ball. That takes an awful lot of arm strength to get the ball there. And David Vickers, number 10, who put the hit on him, thinks that he really should have made the play and perhaps the interception.
We'll see how effective Smith is after taking a blow like that in the back the rest of the way. Now running the option down the line. Taylor keeps it. Dante Jones and Darrell Reed, numbers 50 and 40.
We've seen Nebraska run a number of options here today. Tom Osborne years ago had so much trouble trying to defend the option play from Oklahoma. He borrowed it. He said, we have got to begin to run some option plays. And we started recruiting quarterbacks like Turner Gill and Steve Taylor to do so.
Will they get it off, or will the third quarter end? So Oklahoma takes the lead. 1 quarter to go. 1 versus 2. Will return on after 3 quarters. Patrick Collins on 1 run of 65 yards has outgained Steve Taylor, both running and passing, 65 to 62 yards. It's been a tough afternoon for the Nebraska quarterback, and we start the final 15 minutes. We bring them to the line of scrimmage for this second down. Intercepted. Dixon's second interception of the day. The All-American safety man.
This is one of the problems when you throw the ball this close to the line of scrimmage. Steve Taylor has 3 different options here. The first one is the pass, but if he doesn't have that, he's going to option. But see how close to the line of scrimmage he is? Right on the inside, the ball was tipped, and again, Dixon on the second time actually really lower left the screen. The receiver is being held there by Derek White. That should have been a pass interference call. But actually, when the ball is tipped, there's no pass interference. Let me amend that. When the ball is tipped, no pass interference.
Yeah, Dillon tipped it. He is the man who tipped it. This is Collins, who's had a great afternoon, getting inside the 40 and into the arms of Charles Fryer. Yeah, now, no interference now because the ball is tipped, and this is a tremendous defensive play. The defender knows the ball is tipped, so the first thing you're taught to do, number 14 sees the ball tipped. He grabs the available receiver, who I think is Smith. He knows that's not a penalty. That's tremendous coaching when you get a college athlete who will react that way as the ball is being deflected. Now they send Collins in motion. And on the cutback, Stafford surging down to the 35. You cannot overemphasize the intelligence demonstrated that time by that Oklahoma secondary. That was Derek White, 14, who took the receiver down as the ball was deflected. Coaches stress that. They go over it. So many times in games, you see them miss the opportunity.
The reason Oklahoma wins so many games in the fourth quarter in big games like this is because they control the ball as they have today. The wishbone offense gains first down after first down.
John Green is back in the block. This time, Thompson trying to get to the corner, and he is stretched out. And Etienne, Leroy Etienne, who has played his heart out defensively here for the Cornhuskers. Number 47 coming back toward the huddle. Fourth period has belonged to Barry Switzer against Tom Osborne. 11-4, he leads it.
No, Brent, I don't think he gets enough credit as a coach. Everybody just assumes he has great athletes, but he coaches them pretty well once he gets them there.
Thompson rides down the line. Here is Stafford crushed. Tim Jackson, number 4, the junior from Dallas, Texas.
Tim Jackson really came up to support on that from the middle of the field. He is the backup safety. You're going to see him come up and support right in the gap as the safety has to do. We've seen Blasek do it. He is out and Jackson is in. But his responsibility is to fill that lane right up in there in the alley. And he comes full bore ahead and makes the play.
At 3rd and 10, you would wonder now if Oklahoma might not try a pass to Cavanis or Jackson. Down the sideline to Cavanis, who makes a great catch. What a catch by Cavanis on the sideline. Was he out of bounds? He's down on the ground. There's a penalty marker also alongside him.
I think he got pushed out of bounds. That's what the discussion is about. He was out of bounds and came back in. But if you get pushed out of bounds by the defender, you're allowed to come back into the field of play.
To the Oklahoma coaching staff. It'll come back. Cavanis had gone out, was not forced out, worked his way back in, made the spectacular catch, but let's listen.
Right of the screen, you can see him go out of bounds. See his right foot, and he was out. That's a good call. He was not forced out. If you go out of the field of play under your own power, you cannot come back in. That's a good call by the official.
4th down, and Oklahoma lines up in punt formation. They're at that position on the field where you always have to wonder. Trying to drop it dead if he can. Another great punt by Oklahoma. What he did last year in the showdown in Lincoln, he has done here again this afternoon. Todd Thompson has buried Nebraska inside the 10. And Nebraska, and maybe the thought has crossed your mind, what happens if they tie? Who goes to the Orange Bowl? Barry Switzer didn't hesitate, and he said they'll take Nebraska if they beat Colorado because they'll wind up ranked higher. They're number 1 right now. Still in all, Coach Osborne said, if it comes down to a 2 or a 1, I will go for the win and the 2. Those were Osborne's thoughts earlier in the week. We have seen coaches change their mind on that. Here is Taylor, back up, close to the goal, go long down the middle, incomplete, wanted Brinson. And there was number 29, Ricky Dixon.
And that was a well-thrown ball that I think was very catchable by Brinson. Here it is. This ball is out there a long way, and he led him away from the defender toward in the middle of the field. And there is Brinson, actually away from the defender. The ball comes. The ball should have been caught. That ball was right on the money. It goes right through Brinson's hands. It's a big play.
An aroused Oklahoma defense has held Taylor to 2 of 10 for 19 yards and intercepted him twice. Keith Jones, the I-back, hammered out of bounds by David Vickers, the other safety. Let's go down to John Dockery. John.
Brent, things are getting very serious down here. Moments ago, Barry Switzer and Broderick Thomas exchanged words, heated words on the sidelines, past that disputed call along the sidelines to Cavanis, and this is getting very, very serious, hard-hitting, emotional feeling along the sidelines.
You can hear the pads. Complete. Brinson making a slick grab on the far side.
And it's short of the first down. Oklahoma's defense has been so tough today in all critical third down plays.
Clock ticking down on Tom Osborne.
Texas, the deep back. Closer and kick formation.
Low punt. Fielded at the 40 by Dixon. Comes to the 48-yard line. It was a 42-yard punt and a 7-yard return. Oklahoma 14, Nebraska 7. We'll be right back. The Oklahoma coaching staff with a 7-point lead and 11:16 to go. With a freshman at quarterback, will attempt to bring that clock down on this series. Rodney Anderson, who has held on to the ball in the second half, powers behind the offensive line.
Now, Nebraska defense has been way on the field way too long, and it takes twice as much energy to play defense as it does offense. And you're seeing a tired Nebraska defense right now.
Anderson again straight ahead.
Ball carried by Anderson.
Oklahoma is just going to concentrate on moving the chains and get themselves in field goal position and try to kick a field goal, I believe, because their defense is playing so well right now. They just want another 3 points because they don't think Nebraska can score twice on them in this fourth quarter.
Nebraska hasn't scored since the first quarter.
Third and 1. Another big third down for the Nebraska defense.
There was movement by the right side of the offensive line. That was Thomas, who had exchanged words with Barry Switzer. Teeing off as the whistle was being blown and the flag was coming down.
Dead ball. False start on the offense. It is still third down.
That's a big play. Completely different call on 3rd and 6 rather than 3rd and 1.
his head, knows he made a mistake. It's Anderson bolting through. Fumble. This will be a critical unpiling of bodies. Anderson put it on the carpet again. But this time, Anthony Stafford jumps on his second loose ball. Do you remember earlier in the game when the quarterback fumbled and Stafford got it? Watch Stafford jump in after this loose ball. The ball will come free right here. Now watch Stafford just come flying in there behind the lineman. Here he is, number 25, right down into the pile and recovered it. Thompson on a late pitch, and Collins got all he could out of that on the option.
Nebraska defense must force a turnover here because a field goal, again, will really put them in a bind having to score twice the way their offense has been playing.
Well, there was the opportunity when Anderson put it on the carpet, and they couldn't come up with it.
Different kind of fumble. The first two fumbles he had were contact fumbles. That time was out kind of the middle of the secondary when he let it go.
Here's Stafford.
Ball carried by 25, Stafford. Tackled by Valadeo.
They must get to the 10 for another first down.
Third down, 3. The ball is on the 13.
This third down could very well be for the Orange Bowl bid.
Thompson, short of the 10.
Ball carried by Thompson.
Let's see where they spot it. His knee went down. But they won't hesitate to send in the field goal unit.
Charles Thompson was trying to cut back. You're going to see as he plants his right foot, he's going to slip right there, but he was trying to cut back inside where he was going to pick up the first down easily. This is the right call by Barry Switzer, going for the field goal the way his defense is playing.
Lasher to attempt the 27-yarder. The punter, Thompson, is the holder. Given Oklahoma a cushion here this afternoon. 17-7. The Sooners, who were anywhere up to a 5-point underdog, have taken a 10-point lead with 7:40 to go. Barry Switzer looking to make it 12-4 over his Nebraska rival Tom Osborne. 7:40 to go. An interesting score. 17-7. A year ago, it was 17-7 when the fourth quarter began. Only the Sooners were behind before they rallied to win it 20-17. This kick is returnable. Brinson down quickly at the 23-yard line. Now, does Barry Switzer have Tom Osborne's number? Well, I put that question to tight end Tom Banderas.
You can always change your number with the operator, so I think Coach Osborne tried to do that this year, and I don't really think anyone has anyone's numbers, just how things happen each year. I think things work in cycles. When we had Turner Gill, we won 3 or 4 years in a row, and they've had their shot at 3 or 4, so it's time to change the tune and get back on the winning streak.
And that's what Oklahoma has accomplished. A 3-game winning streak, closing in on 4 in a row. 7:36 to go. Now they're going to have the throw back this time to the quarterback, only Taylor was covered.
Boy, was he covered by 3 Sooner defenders.
Richard Bell wanted to throw back to Taylor, but he was covered and he had to put it away.
That's very disciplined defense. Troy Johnson and Derek White on that side of the field read the play all the way and stayed at home.
Taylor ganged up again by the defense. Downstairs to John Doctor. Doc.
Thank you, Brent. And this is Arthur Hertz from the Orange Bowl. What happened with Miami and the Orange Bowl, Arthur?
Well, Miami accepted a bid to the Orange Bowl at 6 o'clock this evening.
What if this game should be a tie? Nebraska should come back. What would happen?
Then we wait till next week to see how the Colorado-Nebraska game turns out. Then pick the team that's rated the highest in the AP poll that following Tuesday.
It does get complicated and interesting. Now back to you, Brent.
Thank you, John. So congratulations to the Hurricanes and Jimmy Johnson. They still have the big one coming up with Notre Dame next week. Taylor under pressure, throws it, and Brinson was well covered. This has been a tremendous defensive effort by the Sooners.
Once again, every third down, 3rd and 5 and 6 situation, the Sooner defense has answered the call. He was open. Brinson was open. The ball was thrown behind him. Had he let him, he could have caught that ball on the move and maybe had a very big play.
6:23 to go. It's a 17-7 game. Ricky Dixon, who's played his heart out in that secondary this afternoon, one of the deep men, making the catch there at the 22-yard line. So now 6:15 to go. Oklahoma closing in on another win over Tom Osborne, and he clears the way. And this 18-year-old freshman has done a spectacular job. Running the option and keeping it, breaking free. He has great speed. It's been that kind of a performance by a young man who did not want to be redshirted. But he accepted it, and he has come back in a critical moment here for Oklahoma.
So much of playing the position of quarterback any place, whether you're a thrower or a runner like he is confidence. And you can see his confidence growing throughout this ball game.
19 carries for 126 yards. He's only 5'9", weighs less than 170. He's out of Lawton, Oklahoma. And now Anderson breaks free. And suddenly they're ripping gaping holes in that Nebraska defense. A 22-yard run by Rodney Anderson, who's had a tough afternoon here.
Interesting that he was holding the ball with both hands on that one. He was afraid to go back to the sideline if he had dropped that one on the turf. 20 rushes for Anderson, 106 yards. It's a mixed day.
What did Barry Switzer do last night in the final hours before the game? He went to every press session they asked him to go to. He cut one interview after another. He went out to dinner with some friends. The man who never chokes, Barry Switzer. Anderson.
Ball carried by Anderson.
And this team is a reflection of the coach's personality. They play loose in big games. He's the Rhett Butler, if you will, of college football. And when he moves in to a recruit's living room, you better remember that mothers sit up and take notice.
Well, he knows he has great athletes, and he just lets them play. He's done a marvelous job of that. He realizes great athletes win games in fourth quarter for you, and he's done that over the years.
Nebraska needs a break. Thompson. Hammered down, ball comes free.
Well, Brent, talking about Charles Thompson and his confidence, you know, he accepted the scholarship to Oklahoma knowing full well that Jamel Holloway and Eric Mitchell were both there. And remember, that was right after Holloway had gotten the national championship.
Pat, let me see if Stafford doesn't come up here with his third fumble recovery of the game. Thompson goes down and takes, yes it was. I just saw him come in to the left side of your screen. This has been an unbelievable performance by the two halfbacks. Anthony Stafford recovering fumbles, leading the way with great blocks, and Patrick Collins running for Barry Switzer. Instead of featuring the fullback and the quarterback entirely, got to the outside with his two running backs, and that has been a big difference here. Time working against the Cornhuskers. Pat Hayden's former school with a chance to go to the Rose Bowl as Pete fires a touchdown pass against 5th-rated UCLA.
A lot of good quarterbacks coming back next year. Rodney Peete, Jamel Holloway coming back, as is Charles Thompson and Steve Taylor here. It's going to be a great year in college football for quarterbacks next year.
At the conclusion of today's CBS game, we'll select a Chevrolet Most Valuable Player of the game from each team. And Chevrolet will donate a $1,000 scholarship to the General Scholarship Fund of both Oklahoma and Nebraska. Timeout being called by Oklahoma. 3:38 to go. Seconds ticking down on Tom Osborne. And Pat Hayden, your thoughts? I really felt coming into this game that Tom and the Cornhuskers were going to win today. I told you that I thought it was their year. Everything had gone in their direction, but this has been a great, great performance. Well, I think one of the greatest in Oklahoma's history, and they've had some tremendous ones in the past.
I think we have all underestimated the Oklahoma defense, because remember, this Nebraska offense is incredibly good, ranked statistically #1 in many categories. They can run the option, they can run power, they can run, and they can throw the football. But I think the difference today has been a very spirited Oklahoma defense.
Thompson was over on the headset on the sideline. And of course the Orange Bowl saying that the winner would go down there. The loser will go to the Fiesta Bowl and play Bobby Bowden's Florida State Seminoles. And I have talked to a lot of coaches who think the Seminoles are as good as any team in the country right now. Barry Switzer among them.
Oklahoma-Miami rematch will be an interesting game as well.
That's the only team to have beaten this Oklahoma team when they were in their prime, and they have done it twice. So we talk about Switzer having a leg up on Osborne, but Jimmy Johnson may have one up on Barry. We'll have to wait and see. There he pitches out to Stafford. Rushes inside the 15-yard line for the first down. Let me remind everybody, while I have an opportunity, that tonight on CBS, and it's a good one, the CBS Saturday movie, Agatha Christie's 13 at dinner, and then West 57th. And tonight on that show, a profile of freshman Congressman Joe Kennedy, his story and much more on West 57th tonight on CBS. Said we'd rather be number 2. I can't hardly blame him. There's Anderson. Let's go downstairs to John Dockery.
Thank you, Brent. So it appears that Oklahoma, if it continues the way it is, will get a chance at the national championship in the Orange Bowl. And a shot at this trophy presented by the UPI Coaches Trophy and a $32,000 scholarship to a non-athlete at that school. Again, it looks like Oklahoma heading to the Orange Bowl. Now back to you, Brent.
Nice looking trophy, John. We've had a timeout called here by Nebraska. We talk about that wishbone formation. Pat, you diagrammed it for everybody and what it's accomplished for Oklahoma. Do you realize it came from a junior high school coach down in Texas, Spud Kaysen? That's right. You know how it came about? He had a too slow fullback. And so he said, maybe if I move him about a yard closer to the quarterback, we can get him into the hole. And thus was born the wishbone formation. And I believe that was Monig Junior High. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. The inventor of the wishbone.
All sorts of interesting tidbits. Now, see, I thought it was Emory Ballard and Darrell Royal at Texas that did it.
Darrell Royal went down and got it from the high school. Junior high. While we have a moment, let's go to Jim Nantz.
All right, Brent, in that UCLA-USC game, SC is leading after 2 touchdown passes by Rodney Peete. About 5 minutes to go. Trojans do have the football. Texas A&M won today, as did Texas over Baylor. So Texas A&M and the Aggies will play Thanksgiving Day for the Cotton Bowl. Let's go back to Lincoln.
That wishbone set. And the pitch to Collins. He's gone 65 yards for a touchdown. He puts it down on the carpet. They're still alive. The turnover. This one's not over, but they need the big play in a hurry. Lee Jones, the brother of Keith out of Omaha, he wrapped up the fumble for Tom Osborne.
Almost similar circumstances, identical from a year ago. 2:49 left in the game. The Huskers down by 10 now. But they have not been able to pull the trigger and come up with any big plays yet. But they do have the capability.
Pat, are you surprised on that 4th down that Berry and Oklahoma didn't go for a second field goal and a 20-7 lead? I wondered about it at the time, and I felt, well,
I think
they know best.
You're right, and I think he was concerned about the block punt. I think his offense has been running so well today, and they had not really been stopped. The biggest thing that could have really hurt him was the block kick return for a touchdown.
But the Oklahoma defense has Collins obviously shaken up, and also John Phillips, big John Phillips, the senior from Tulsa, Oklahoma, is down there. Here's Collins over here down on the OU sideline. Gee, those Phillips brothers are great players. John was over talking to us. His brother, Anthony Phillips, 68.
Yeah, I was really impressed with John Phillips. Very good kid, very loyal to his team, and happy to give Charles Thompson the opportunity. That's his brother, Anthony, with him, number 68.
And Hudson, 79, the big guard, also going off. Now, let me point this out about the Oklahoma defense. 8 of 14 possessions, they have forced Nebraska into 3 and punt. Standing in his end zone, under pressure, throws an interception. Dante Jones picks it off inside the 20.
That's a great play by Dante Jones. That is a great play. Drop back, read the quarterback's eyes again. Both of these quarterbacks have been locking into receivers, and that makes it a little bit too easy on the defense. Watch Taylor as he drops back. He's going to come right back to his right. He's there the whole time. Dante Jones in the zone, reads it, and makes a fine catch.
Now, there have been turnovers on both sides here this afternoon, but the difference is where the turnovers have occurred. After Nebraska has thrown interceptions, Oklahoma has been within striking distance, as they are now. Oklahoma, on the other hand, in the first half, fumbled going in, and it was still tough for Nebraska. Anderson. Near the 13-yard line on a first down crack. So even though Anderson has had difficulty, and he's fumbled here 3 times this afternoon, he has still rushed for 119 yards.
This is a tough loss for Tom Osborne because he has had a sensational year this year, and unfortunately many people in this state view this as a one-game season. You must beat Oklahoma to have a successful year. That's not necessarily the case. He's going to the Fiesta Bowl. He's beaten some very good football teams and one of the best coaches in the country.
Thompson with a late pitch on the outside, and a great grab by Stafford.
But those guys do have good hands. They cut some nice pitches. Nebraska with just 1 timeout remaining.
Now Bob Latham, the center, is down. You know, all year long, that's Latham, the OU center, down on the carpet. He's going to point out all year long this Nebraska defense has been very tough on some great running backs. Only 1 team rushed for over 100 yards, and today 3 Oklahoma running backs get it. Let's go down. Let's check in New York, and here's Jim Nantz. Jim?
Well, Brent, Wyoming has wrapped up the Holiday Bowl berth from the WAC with that win today over UTEP. And BYU kicked a late field goal to beat Utah. Now, we reported at halftime that quarterback Sean Covey had been carried off the field in an ambulance. The report from Utah Valley Hospital is that he suffered a concussion. No neck injury at all to Sean Covey, so that's good news. Let's go back to Lincoln.
All right, Jim, thank you. 1:51 remaining. It's 17-7. Number 2 beating number 1. But number 2 was number 1 all year long until a week ago when they struggled a bit against Missouri.
Most impressed with the diversity of this attack. They've run the fullback very, very well, and again gotten on the outside where the big plays have come.
Put it down on the ground, and Thompson alertly just goes right down on top of it.
Well, it's going to be a very interesting Orange Bowl game, as you mentioned in Jimmy Johnson. Passing teams have been the ones who have actually hurt Oklahoma over the years. Of course, Miami doing it the last 2 years. Miami's got a very fine quarterback in Steve Walsh this year.
They'll put the ball down 21, so this would be a 31-yard attempt by Lasher at the 144 mark.
Interesting, he's kicking it now and didn't before.
I guess he felt with 4th and 2 that last time, Pat, that they could get the first down. This being 4th and 9, he'll go ahead and follow through with the field goal, but they never would have forgiven themselves that call if Nebraska had come back on them.
And all Nebraska can do here is hope for a block, a big play from the special teams, and perhaps score on it.
Now we'll have to watch how this snap is. They've gone to a new snapper because of the injury, Greg Williams. It's a 35-yarder. And that's no good. 1:40 left for Nebraska. Well, let's check in with Jim Nance in New York. Jim?
Well, Brent, we talked earlier about how close Columbia came today to snapping that 40-game losing streak, but the final was Brown winning it 19-16. The winning touchdown in the final minute on a 4th and 2 play. Here it is for Brown. The Bruins go with Danny Clark, and he scores on the 4th and 2 play with 47 seconds left. That was the winner. So Columbia goes back into the offseason with a 41-game losing streak. Let's go back to Brent and Pat.
All right, Jim, at Nebraska with Taylor pulling out, firing complete, and a first down. Todd Milliken, the tight end, 17-yard gain.
That's one thing that Oklahoma defense has really taken away is the tight end from Nebraska, because they came into this game featuring the tight end Nebraska did, but they've really only caught 2 balls today.
Morgan Gregory comes in with the play from the Nebraska sideline. Cornhuskers haven't scored here since the first quarter. And a great performance by the OU defense. And again, the outside men coming through. Troy Johnson and Darrell Reed, numbers 80 and 40, and they have had themselves an afternoon. In fact, every player on this defense at some time in this game has been a standout, hasn't he? We've featured everyone. Coming at him again. Throws complete that time to number 82, Henley Hawkins. Minute 2 left. They'll have to work everything to the sideline since they have used all 3 of the timeouts.
Nebraska has had its opportunities, though. Dana Brinson had a chance to catch a big play, perhaps a touchdown earlier in the 4th quarter, and drop that ball. There were 2 or 3 occasions where Steve Taylor put the ball on the money and nobody made the catch.
Early on, we said the game was going Switzer's way, even though he wasn't ahead. Tight defensive game as Taylor scrambles that time for 11 yards, and backup linebacker Kurt Casper brings him down.
First down and 10. Ball on the 48 of Oklahoma.
So Nebraska's going to have a tough time to get emotionally ready to play next week, I guarantee you. They're going to play a pretty good Colorado team.
And that pretty good Colorado team upset them a year ago. So they bring Bell. Great run. Got him to the outside. McMitchell tackling him.
Need to be on the line of scrimmage.
Some of those Oklahoma players may have a few things to say about his comments. Bill forced out of bounds on the far sideline. Casper again helping take him out over there. And the rallying cry down in Norman, Pat, and those comments were taped to the lockers.
I was there this week, and it was amazing. They were posted everywhere, all over the school, all over the athletic department, on every defensive player's locker.
So they came in here today, and that Oklahoma defense bully-ragged Nebraska quarterback Steve Taylor. You can look that one up, Mr. Hayden.
I like that one, bully-ragged. I like that.
Out of bounds, stopping the clock. 22 seconds to go. Out at the 21, another 10-yard pickup by Taylor. So a lot of their yardage here coming against a prevent late in the game with the score 17-7.
The worst thing you can say about an athlete or a team is that they gave up. The one thing I can say for this Nebraska team is they have not stopped fighting. They have not packed their bags yet. They're to be commended for that.
Pressure. Complete again to Bell. Stepped out of bounds. This, I find, just the most incredible of all the statistics, that the Sooners have been able to come in here into Lincoln and win 8 of the last 11 games played between these two great football powers. Complete. That was Hawkins.
Bring it home. Coming home, number 1. Always bow bound, baby. Not over yet.
Let's go. Coaches would say that if there was only 5 seconds remaining. We got 12 seconds left. Takes it out of bounds to stop the clock with 4 seconds to go. And indeed, as Anthony Stafford said, these Sooners will head home now number 1 and Orange Bowl bound. Barry Switzer has done it again. And that knee not hurting nearly as much right now. And Athletic Director Donnie Moore down there. Meanwhile, the pangs of sorrow over on that far sideline.
The real fine men in college football, Tom Osborne is.
Trouble and then has to just fire it up in the air toward the end zone, incomplete and almost intercepted. Comes to an end. Let's go down to John Dockery. Doc.
Every time you choose MasterCard to make a purchase.